On this episode of That Kingsville Podcast, stay tuned, folks. We talk about a whole bunch of stuff. We got graduation at the new school. We got a new restaurant potentially being built in the next few months because there was a structure that was taken down on the east side of town. We got Greenway is all up and nice after somebody was complaining that the Greenway wasn't, nicely kept. And then we got Greater Essex County District School Board and Code of Conduct violation meetings. All that and more on this episode of That Kingsville Podcast. You're looking at me like
No, it's all our fault.
Yes.
Veritable cornucopia. Topical delights.
Well, we'll just keep it going. That Kingsville Podcast proudly brought to you by Kingsville Brewery, and ChatGPT does such a great job writing ad copy. Why ever would you go and do this on your own? So, quite humorous stuff. Let's see what the old ChatGPT does.
Oh, wait, we got...
It's two. We do this as tandem. Oh. All right.
Oh, well, there's no host 3.
No, just 2.
Sorry,
That's
Steve.
okay. No, I'm okay. I like being the third wheel.
Yeah, just you and me. When's the last time you did an ad read, Kat?
It's been a while.
Tired of beers that taste like regret and questionable decisions?
Or worse, like your uncle's failed homebrew experiment he calls fermented freedom.
Well, it's time to upgrade your taste buds, folks. Welcome to Kingsville Brewery, where the beer is smoother than your last breakup line and way more successful.
Made in Kingsville, Ontario, also known as the Napa Valley of Beer. Okay, maybe we just made that up. Yeah, we did. But seriously, this stuff is brewed with local ingredients, small town soul, and a healthy dose of dang. That's good.
They've got lagers, ales, and even a stout that once made a grown man cry tears of joy. It may not have been me. Plausible deniability. We're not saying it's magical, but we're also not saying that.
Not
saying that.
Kingsville Brewery. Drink like royalty without the weird family drama.
The Markleverse. Find it in your local beer store, or better yet, take a trip to...
Weird reference.
Find it in your local beer store or wherever you can find beer in the local area. Go to kingsvillebrewery.com for free local delivery in Windsor and Essex County. Warning, may cause sudden urges to grow a beard and discuss hops. Well,
honestly, every time we do one of these, I think to myself, that's why copywriters get paid.
I was just going to say, it's like, hey, thank you, Kingsville Brewery and ChatGPT for doing all my job.
Ish.
Yeah.
I'm just glad the camera's not on my face when you guys do those reads.
Side profiles. Yeah. Welcome to That Kingsville Podcast. It's me, Dave, Kev, Steve. There's a special guest sitting over there, but he's just going to stay quiet the whole time while we're doing this episode. Right, Sebastian?
He just spoke. He just failed that.
No, he didn't fail. So, gentlemen, you know what? This is going to be an episode with a whole bunch of topics that are unrelated that we're just going to roll through. Okay? Because, we're nearing summer break. We've got a great concept for the summer episodes that we're going to flush through. So, stay tuned for that.
Plethora of topics tonight.
There is
a veritable cornucopia.
Cornucopia of conversation.
Yes. I like Could be a little verbose, but we'll get through.
Hey, you know what? That's all we are, because we are not the news.
No.
We are just 3 guys with opinions that have a YouTube channel that Gary produces, and thank you, Gary.
If we were a newspaper, we'd be the delivery boy.
I was waiting for where you were going with that.
That was it.
All right, let's start with the least, impactful in town. Somebody mowed the Greenway, so you're welcome after last week's episode and talking about how terrible the Greenway was.
At least they listen.
At least west side of Kingsville from the golf course on. Nicely mowed.
I went for it wasn't really a run, it was more of like an active ramble down the trail, and I didn't get a tick, so that's nice.
Well, you just didn't wait around long enough.
I'm sorry I missed this last episode because this ties into what I want to go into too, but
please continue.
I've done this for a while.
Yeah, we're rolling.
Lead in. So,
well, I'm sitting there waiting for my daughter to finish work the other night at Miller's Bakery. But anyway, see, I'm learning from Kevin how to get a
product
plug
placement.
Love it.
Plugs.
Well, yeah, but
Was she
I'm
serving
okay
their
plugging-
delicious homemade ice cream?
She was, and I'm okay plugging that because Holly did run up 2 flights of stairs to deliver cookies to us one year
She
when we were
did.
doing the
Thank
Christmas
you.
thing. So
Thank
anyway,
you, Miller's Bakery and Ice Cream.
and beyond the parking lot is this fantastically kept property. Flower Fashions on King. Beautifully manicured grass. But to really get a good, clear view of that, I have to look over the extremely, once again, negated flower beds, if you will, that are town property. And again, I don't like to keep going on about this, but it's not getting done. Again, like we talked the other week about tourism and how the town wants to be a tourism spot. So you've got...
Before we get too deep in this, are we sure that we're not slagging on the Horticultural Society and senior volunteers?
I don't believe, these to me, whenever, like...
Grandma!
No, but when I used to pick up my kids at KPS or come out of work, it was the town that was maintaining these beds.
Okay.
So let me go back then. If it is,
Sorry.
if the that's okay. If the Horticultural Society are responsible, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that it sounds like we're picking on you, but they look awful. So here's kind of where we're at. There's 2 significant parking lots, which on most Thursdays, but Fridays and Saturdays are very busy, especially in the summer. Patios afford restaurants more seating capacity, so it's even greater foot traffic. People need a place to park, and that's what they see. And if you're coming out of town to enjoy one of the fabulous restaurants or walk downtown or whatever, because downtown is quite a nice walk, this is what you're seeing. And it's unfortunate. And as an aside, talking about the tourism, I'm going to...
Coming back around full circle.
I will say Victoria Day weekend, I drove through town on a Sunday and there are businesses, and I will mention my cousin's closet specifically, were open.
Yay.
And good for you. Good for you for making that effort. I hope it was worth their while. Financially, obviously, but I think it was great too to see, because there were people in town that, and I get it, we're growing. I don't know everyone anymore. I don't recognize everyone, but you kind of know a tourist when you see a tourist. And there were people walking through town, kind of looking up, looking around.
What's that over there?
And that was nice to see. Let's hope they didn't see the flower beds.
Well, you know what? I think that we're about time for them to actually kick off all the maintenance, right? Isn't it usually beginning of June when they actually plant them, because the temperature's kind of stabilized?
Okay.
So we'll put it at bay for now.
Clear them out.
Yeah, right. Listen,
Pull weeds.
Maybe it is the Horticultural Society. Maybe they had other horticultural emergencies they needed to attend to immediately, like grass.
Well, there is actually a change though, and I don't know whether it impacts flower beds, but the actual potters, planters, that had been a contract that the BIA had awarded to Cindy's yearly, that's now come in-house to Parks and Rec staff. It's not, and reading the BIA minutes, because I don't know if this has actually come, I think it came to council through the minutes of the BIA, but I'm not sure if it's gone to council as the actual decision. So it may have, I don't know. But there has been a change. So it's no longer a budgeted item that's paid for and a company doing it. It's now town staff that are doing it.
Okay, so then obviously that is more of a burden and more work on town, and maybe that's why it hasn't been done. I will give kudos to council administration over the past couple of years who've identified the need to hire more, but we're still seeing that shortfall. Obviously, if these are responsibility of the town, especially in a high foot traffic area and high vehicle traffic too, but. Anyway, it's not the end of the world. It's not like I'm moaning about the weeds that grow along the curb and gutters. There we go. There's my. It's like the old Saturday Night Live.
Yes,
Deep
Lord
thoughts.
expectations.
Deep thoughts
Anyway,
by Jack Handy.
there's my first rant probably of the evening.
So carrying on the plethora, the cornucopia, building went down, right?
Yeah.
Mouth of Seacliff.
Gone.
Yeah, shabazz.
It has been the home to several businesses over the past few years, and now
that started as Remark Farms.
Yes.
Back in the 90s.
to our knowledge, yes.
Correct. And I think it was a Gord Muser designed building, if I remember correctly.
Oh, wow.
Maybe. Because it was architecturally different than everything else.
Yeah.
It was, aesthetically, I think it looked like a great building, but Right. After, I think Remark was only in there for a short period of time. Then it was vacant. And then it was, like you said, a
I think there was a car detailing place in there. There was cheesecake on a stick at one point. There was I think the last place was the
Boats.
marina or boat.
There was a sign place.
Yes, there was a sign place.
There was it was an ice cream parlor for a summer.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So it's held many uses, and now
She gone. And the rumor is that's where they're putting up a Wendy's.
Yeah.
So, I won't believe it until I see, Rosie Wendy's face on the front of that building. Whatever happened to Dave Thomas? Dave Thomas died, didn't he?
I think
he
so,
passed away a few years ago.
Like he's the Burger King, but not the Burger King.
Yeah, not the king.
Well, okay,
He married the Dairy Queen. Anyway.
Little did you know that Wendy's burgers were inspired by a burger place in Flint. That's where
I did not know that.
I did. Yeah. Yeah, they do olive burgers in Flint. And that's where Dave Thomas got the idea for the square patties because it fits a griddle. They kind of jam in as much meat as they could. So
that makes sense.
There you go. There's your tidbit so you can win at trivia night, Mom.
Huh.
But yeah, so yet another expansion on the east side of town. So we're starting to see a little bit more development.
Yeah. Don't call it sprawl. It's not sprawl.
It's not sprawl. It's
No,
development.
it's not sprawl. It's just, the further intensification of development on the outskirts of town.
Well, which already was a developed property that just has now been repurposed. All right, well,
And if you look at everything around there now, it's developed.
No, you're right. That's
Correct.
fine.
Yeah,
It's just interrupted by a beautifully manicured greenway, essentially.
yes, lovely. It's manicured
Recently
greenway.
mowed.
And as you continue, eastward towards Ruthven, we see a lot of the orchards from Colmac. They're pulled out a lot of trees.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine there's going to be more development between Kingsville and Ruthven.
So you mean like after you pass like Lee and Maria's and continue going?
Yeah, but make sure you stop in at Lee and Maria's where now they're retailing beer, wine, and ready-to-drink coolers. That's right. Lee and Maria's, beer, wine, and ready-to-drink coolers.
I did
And
not.
more.
And more.
I didn't say it.
I did. I shopped there on the weekend. Fantastic selection. A lot of things you can't get at the LCBO. It was awesome. I was surprised. I knew you guys were doing it, but I didn't realize just how much different stuff you guys could bring in.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to get into this, but yes, we're working on it.
Now we can do things like that. So
So you mentioned development on the way to Ruthven.
yeah. And
Any development in Ruthven?
Oh, but no.
Oh, why? What happened, Kevin?
It wasn't my fault. I didn't cause it.
No, I'm not blaming you.
Are you blaming?
I'm asking you what happened. You're the man in the know.
Problem. I'm not.
Not this time, no. So what happened?
Look,
caught him.
There's an issue with sewers. Caught him. Barely saw him. There's an issue with sewer capacity and the design of the sewers out there. You may recall a couple years ago now. Yeah, I guess a couple years ago almost now.
Yeah.
There was a major flood in August of that would have been 2023. And it caused significant sewage backups in homes in the development in the newer development in Ruthven. And it seemed like there could potentially be some issues with storm sewers and regular sewers. And so last I had heard, they had done dye testing to see what some of the issues could be. I don't know if the results of the dye testing were ever made public. They may have, and just didn't hear them. But it has led to a decision to restrict building in the Ruthven area for now until they can either A, find the issue with sewage capacity, or B, increase sewage capacity. And for those who don't know, relatively recently, it's about 15 years ago, they installed a force main sewer line that runs down the Greenway from Ruthven to the they call them pollution control plants now, which is sewage plant on the other side of town. The old Gosfield South sewage plant. So that was installed. There was a ton of engineering. It was a long project. And my understanding is it was supposed to have been, and Steve, you would would have been covering them back in the day too, putting you on the spot. I was covering it as well. And if I remember right, that development that's off of Union, like that subdivision, it was known to have been coming at the time. No shovels were in the ground, but I think approvals were in place when they were looking at upsizing that force main. So the engineering should have taken that capacity into account, but it appears that either system design issues, issues with capacity, or just mistakes in the way that system has been installed. This came up relatively recently, so we haven't reached out to town for comment yet, but we'll be getting into the thick of it in an upcoming episode.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Sewage.
Yeah.
It's a raw topic.
So
barely passed the smell test.
I tell you. I tell you.
Oh, I get the goose.
Yeah, let's loop around.
You get the gander.
Let's come from Ruthven, go down Road 2 and Jasperson, and this is the inaugural graduating classes for the new school. So we've got elementary graduating class, the first one in the new school, and the high school as well too. So,
you know, we've talked a lot, obviously, about the school itself, the building, and how we got to this point. But looking at it from a student perspective, you know, there was a lot of pride last year for students who were part of the final graduating class from Jack Minor, KPS, KDHS. And I'd like to think, and it's probably more for the elementary end of it, but a lot of pride in being a part of the first graduating class of a new school. I hope that they do what they've historically done and hang the graduate portraits on the wall. And in 25 years, these kids can go back and see themselves and show their kids that, hey, see, I was part of the first graduate class from this school. And the reason I say more so for the elementaries is sort of twofold. You've brought together two schools, and you're graduating a large group together. With the high school, it's harder for those students, I think, in one sense. You know, you spend 3 years, majority of them as Cavaliers at the former KDHS, and then your last year of high school, you're not forced, but you are essentially given the option of switching schools or going to the new school. But I hope they still will look back and say, hey, you know what? It was only for 1 year. You know, I've got great memories of high school overall, but I'm going to look back and say, yeah, I was part of that 2025 at that new school.
I actually was part of I was the first grade 8 graduating class for the elementary school that was newly opened in the whole of the town that I lived in.
I thought you were going to say you were the first person to graduate in the town that you lived in, but anyway.
There are many.
That was low. I'm sorry.
Low because it's physically in a hole. Like Omimi is valley, you're down. But Scott Young Public School was new, which Scott Young, the author.
Yes, Neil Young's dad. Wrote Spunska on Skates or something, and a Boy at Leafs Camp.
Boy at Leafs Camp. I have that book.
Yes, there was a trilogy.
Something on Defense. Boy on Defense.
Or was it? Oh.
Anyway,
yes.
Sky Young. There's Sky Young trivia for you.
Yeah, I was just saying, Mom, there's 2 now for trivia.
The Boy on Defense, I think. Anyway, but I'll tell you, I actually do weirdly have pride that I was part of the first graduating class of that elementary school. And I never, like, it's not something that I ever think of in my, well, I mean, I do have it written on my wall at home when every morning I wake up, I'm like, hey, remember, you did this.
Your morning affirmation.
Yeah.
I'm good enough. But it was the first graduating class of Scott Young.
Well, here's the thing with Scott
Young.
Great
accomplishment to be the right age.
So in 1952,
in that region,
Scrubs on Skates. 1963, A Boy at the Leafs Camp. In 1985, Boy on Defense.
Oh, there you are. You got it.
There we go.
1, 2, 3, Joe.
There they are.
Well, I would never have come up with Scrubs on Skates, but I think Bill Spunska or something was the main character.
Yeah.
Something like that. Anyway.
Don't make it easy. Like Smith. Spunska.
Well, no.
That's not fun.
But yeah, it is kind of weird. Now I couldn't tell you for the life of me what the actual like animal was that we were like. We were just
Chinchillas.
Possibly. Yeah. I know before that when I went to Lady Eaton Elementary School, we were the Eagles, but I went to Scott Young Public School to graduate. I don't know what we were. We were whatever.
It's cool that you went to Scott Young Public School though.
Yeah. Yeah. Lady Eaton was named after Eatons.
Oh.
Yeah, it's the wife. Yeah.
Nice.
Weird, right? Yeah.
Oh, I'm on the website.
God.
A lot of prestige here.
The Terriers.
The
Scott
we were
Young
the Terriers.
Public School Terriers.
I wonder if we were when we opened.
I don't know, but apparently it's like an English Terrier, Bull Terrier is the mascot, and he's got a cap on, so he's fashionable.
Interesting. I would not have guessed that.
Scott Young Public School, still named by Scott Young.
Is that a Krispy Kreme Spring Fever fundraiser?
Okay.
How do they have? I can tell you for a fact there are 0 Krispy Kremes in Omimi.
0 Krispy Kremes in most of Ontario. Anyway, so speaking of the grounds at said school where the graduating classes.
When is graduation anyway?
Elementary's the 18th.
And
secondary's 24th, 25th.
Somewhere in that neighborhood. I don't know.
Are they doing anything special? Like
it's a graduation. It's pretty special.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Steve.
Shut up, Kev.
Sorry. Okay.
Each student gets
a diploma. Anyway, no. In relation.
Stop laughing.
In relation to what?
Gift.
Just
in
relation to what? It's the first one.
Like a commemorative.
I don't know.
Not that I'm aware.
Does everyone get like a nice coin? I don't.
I'm not. I doubt it. So. I don't know who would pay for it.
Yeah. Well, the school board's still at a deficit.
Right. So it's
entertainment. Like, is someone going to sing? Will there be any part of the ceremony that will take place other than geographic location that will be different than the one that would typically have taken place at one of the other schools?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Maybe no, that's right.
Like
still same graduating.
It's still the same thing. Nothing from like the Bradford Mint or anything.
That's a stretch.
You get a commemorative plate as you go into the door.
Congratulations. You can eat cheese on this for the rest of your life.
Mom, this has got a guy that looks like Neil Young on it, but it doesn't really look like Neil Young. Could this quite possibly be famous author Scott Young of Omimi Elementary School fame? Anyway.
Back to the grounds.
Field.
Right. So, we talk to people, we hear different things. So the information I was given last week was that there was somebody on the school property taking soil samples, and there was a question posed to this person: "Are you the person that can tell us when this field will be ready?" And the response this individual received was basically a year and a half, that they need to. They're not sure, but they might have to redo the drainage, and then obviously it's not just a matter of sort of grading the property and putting the soil down and putting the grass down. So that essentially minimum probably puts us at September of 2026.
You're talking about the field that's behind the school. Like that will eventually be the secondary side.
Yes, sorry.
It's okay. So eventually a soccer field or
well, so here's the thing. So there's a couple of factors here. So there's a gentleman in the community who's been pushing basically since probably when the new school was announced to have a track. And the board has made it clear that they are not in the business of providing tracks. And that's fair. Like their focus is education. I did hear a clip from a meeting tonight where somebody was talking about the track at Massey Secondary School. And I didn't catch all of it, but it was essentially, again, from a financial perspective, the board is not responsible for tracks. If the community can come together to bring together some initiative to restore and maintain the track, that's different. Otherwise, tracks are basically just left to deteriorate, grow grass, whatever. So there is a gentleman who has been pushing since the start now to get a track installed. And he's looking for support from, I know, parent council and stuff like that. It's John Van Wingerden is his name, and people will know John from his years as a trustee. He is a strong advocate for athletics. He himself was an athlete. I believe his children were athletes in their day. So the reason I'm bringing that up too is because there's an opportunity here with the field having to be regraded and relayed to potentially do something bigger. And again, this is not on the board because I think when the initial proposal for a track facility was brought forward, I understand. I believe that there needed to be some sort of plan to maintain it too. You couldn't just say, yes, we'll give you X amount of dollars, or we're going to pay to have this built. The board needs some assurances that, okay, that's great. We need to maintain it though too. So that's not our expense. You need to come up with a plan. So I guess we'll see where it goes. Again, the earliest it would be September 2026. In time for phys ed classes, because the high school soccer season doesn't start until April. So we'd be looking at 2027 before any high school teams could play on that field. But gym classes and other events, yeah.
Are they going to let you use KDHS's?
Well, and I can't answer that right now. I don't know if there's some sort of direction that schools can only use a previous school for one season. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Precedent, if you will, was set because I know Leamington District Secondary School used their former site for 2 years in a row for their high school soccer teams. Then the issue becomes, if not there, then where? But I mean, we've got months to decide, and hopefully, the powers that be will come up with some sort of a plan for the 25-26 season.
There was originally, we had heard that there was some discussions that if the community were to raise funds, even if they said we want this to go towards a track and maintaining a track, that the board would just use the funds and what they deemed they would be used for. Because they ultimately got to make that decision.
And I had heard something similar, and I don't know if that's factual or not, but Dave's suggesting
it is.
Okay.
And knowing from a potential donor, and they were responded with, "We'll accept your money, but you do not get to dictate what it goes toward."
So then, I mean, I think we talked about this briefly on a previous episode. Mm-hmm. That's what's hard to take. And again, because. And I understand, and I know, the local trustee came on here and noted that athletics aren't everything, and that's fair. They're not, and they're not for everybody. But they're not just for athletes. You see people who maybe aren't athletic or don't want to play sports or don't like playing sports, but you know what? They like their school. And in a new building where you're trying to generate some excitement and some passion and some what's the word I'm looking for? Pride in your school. Athletics are a great way to do that. And if you have the facilities, because I don't know the exact numbers. I know recently there was Coyote Day at the high school, mm-hmm. and students were encouraged to dress up. Everybody was put on a team and were asked to participate. Well, I'll give you two guesses on which two grades were the most active participants. Grade 9 and grade 10. Yeah. Why? Because they have a future at the school, right? They're trying to start something. So if you want to engage these students and keep them motivated, you need more than just the fantastic gym. You need more than just events, right? Part of the reason that Essex has been successful over the years is because they have the facilities. They bring people out to cheer. They have stands there, And on the other side of this is, and we won't go into the details of it, but the town and the school board have signed a user agreement. Well, this would just provide more facilities in my mind.
Yeah,
for the entire community.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I'm hopeful that people like John Van Wingerden can get support, and other people will get support, and the board will see the value. And I get it. They're in a deficit, so if they can get $1 million to spend on maintenance, whatever, yeah, they're going to want to take it. But I know I said this before, is like, all I want is this school to have what every other school has. You know, on different levels.
Yeah.
Leamington has a nice setup. Essex has a nice setup. Bell River's got a track around their field. Who else is there? North Star. I haven't seen the facilities at North Star.
I haven't been to any of the post-secondary.
Yeah.
I graduated in 99.
Yeah.
It's been some time.
Well,
It's been some time. But yeah, I agree. If there's an opportunity where there is potential investment in that a community is willing to support, like the ladies that were in from the Alumni Association from KDHS, right? They fundraise in order to provide things that the school board didn't equip the school with. So, you know, hopefully they can help organize and be able to contribute, right? We had scoreboards donated. So, you know, we can figure it out. But if the school board is short-sighted in not allowing that kind of investment for other, let's call it less.
and it's money from this community that would stay in this community to help the people in this community. You know,
Erie migration.
so
Mm-hmm. That's the community, Erie migration.
The Erie migration
community.
yeah,
Because that lake's on its way.
Yeah. I'm going to take a pause now for just a brief moment. Over the past year, Counter in Sports has been proud to support the incredible athletes, teams, and organizations, perhaps including yours. Whether through sponsorship, funding, or opportunity, our mission has always been the same: to keep more girls in sports and show them they belong, on the field and beyond. But we can't do it alone. We're inviting you to be a part of something bigger, a celebration and fundraiser that helps continue fueling dreams, funding opportunities, and creating safe spaces for girls in sport. Join us on June 21st at Peely Island Winery in Kingsville from 3 to 8 p.m. for a powerful afternoon of inspiration, community, and connection. Event highlights include live music, keynote speech by Paralympic gold medalist Danielle Campo, delicious dinner from License to Sear included with your purchase of ticket, craft cocktails, mocktails from Hitch Spirit Wagon, games, activities for kids, photo booth, local awards celebrating female athletes, coaches, and teams, and a grand door prize sports weekend getaway of your choice. Tickets are available now at counterinsports.com/ourmission. Adult and youth pricing is available. Advanced purchase helps plan an unforgettable day. If Counter in Sports has supported your team, your athlete, or your organization, this is your moment to give back. Your attendance and ticket purchase directly sustain the very programs that lifted you up and ensure that we can reach even more girls across our region. Let's keep building this movement together. Please help by sharing this message. Again, counterinsports.com, our mission, on June 21st at Peely Island Winery.
Speaking briefly of sports, members of Sang's martial arts, the jiu-jitsu team, was in Brampton this past weekend competing at the Canadian National Jiu-Jitsu Championships. Sebastian, who is watching, my son, who's watching off camera, he's waving. He competed there. Unfortunately, no medals for Sebastian. However, there were some medals that came home from the nationals from people who go to Sangs. Griffin and Max Bailey both won gold in their division. So at the nationals, which is fantastic. I believe it means that Max, trying to think with his age, he may qualify now for Team Canada. I'm not 100% sure on that. But Darian Primo, who's a black belt and one of the coaches there, lives near Harrow. She did qualify for Jiu-Jitsu no-gi for Team Canada and will be representing Canada in Bangkok, Thailand later this year.
Congratulations,
Fantastic.
Darian.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
these are the sports news that tend to fly under the radar. So I'm glad you're bringing that forward.
You're in tune.
We saw it happen. Right,
Well-
Sebastian? Yeah.
Was it impressive? Yeah.
Sebastian had a couple tough matches, let me tell you.
Listen, next time, just eye of the tiger that next match. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Muscles. Yeah. Conversation for 3.
It's my son. I'm allowed.
It is. You are allowed.
Ow.
Oh, hey, watch out for that
Sorry,
pop filter. So let's go back to the school. Let's take a trip in the Wayback Machine. We're just jumping around here left and right. Remember that time last year when all that stuff happened in like March and April? Remember that time?
Oh, when the school name was an acronym?
Yeah, a couple. Well, it ended up being a
it's
couple.
still another acronym.
Yeah, and there was some controversy that I'm not going to say report. We talked about because we're not the news. We're not the news. We are three guys with opinions and a YouTube channel. Thanks, Gary.
But we did. I mean, we had our trustee on prior to
Correct.
the announcement of the name.
Yeah.
And then we had 3 student representatives.
Yeah.
And then we had
Another trustee.
a different trustee.
Yeah, and many different pieces of information were unveiled, discussed. Let's say that it ignited the community.
Yeah.
So yes, we had Trustee Burgess on prior to the announcement, and after all of the controversy,
Found out that, she had decided what the name was going to be for the school before the meeting, and
not according to information that was provided, Kevin.
oh, right. Sorry.
And then we had Trustee Nancy Armstrong on, who represents Leamington, Pelee Island.
But wasn't in the conversation.
But was not in the conversation.
No, she was just representing herself.
Correct.
As she stated.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, she was here. However, tonight, in fact, this is June 10th when we're recording it, at the Greater Essex County District School Board offices in Windsor, they're holding a special meeting as a result of all of this controversy because 2 counselors have... Trustees, thank you. I apologize. I misspoke. There's 2 potential breaches of their code of conduct that are in scrutiny over this. So they hired a third-party firm, Reuben Tomlinson, in order to prepare both reports on Trustee Kathy Cook and Trustee Nancy Armstrong. So, the Kathy Cook, and I'm going to paraphrase best I can remember, it was as a result of her speaking freely to the CBC or CTV or whomever it was.
I believe so. There was an incident with the media outside of Chambers where it did cause a stir.
Yeah. But more relevant to us, this is a 276-page document, starting at about 120 for the agenda for this meeting tonight. And it's available at publicboard.ca in their calendar section. You can find it. I got it up here on the laptop. September 23rd, 2024, the Greater Essex County District School Board retained Reuben Tomlinson to conduct an impartial investigation into an alleged breach of the trustee code of conduct by a member of the board, Trustee Nancy Armstrong. And if you want to start on page 120, This investigation does not arise from a specific complaint from an individual trustee, but rather from a motion passed by the board in September of 24. That an investigator be appointed to investigate the conduct of Trustee Nancy Armstrong in relation to and or arising out of her appearance on That Kingsville Podcast, published on YouTube August 3, 24. It's crazy. So somebody does watch our show.
Apparently.
I guess that's the biggest news for us out of all this.
Wow. You like us.
No, well,
no, they don't.
No,
they
don't.
No, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. So I'm not going to read the whole report. It's
okay.
A couple of hundred pages, but that's essentially as a result of why.
What was the finding?
Talk about something.
Well,
else
I think there were about 5 or 6 incidents that they cited where Trustee Armstrong was in contravention of the code of conduct.
Correct.
All from that episode?
Yes. And sort of, essentially is not supposed to talk bad about the board as a trustee. So, we won't know the outcome of the meeting, obviously, until after we've recorded. And, Nancy actually reached out to us. And I'm not saying, I'm not this is not to put blame on, but Nancy reached out to us because she needed, I think, a means to have a voice.
Yeah, she
to kind of share her frustrations. And I'm not, we at no point kind of prodded her, or it was discussion, as I recall.
It was. And we acknowledged and said, when you come on the show, we're not trying to expose anything, or we're having the conversation. She felt she wanted to discuss it in public because she felt that input that she had wasn't understood or heard, and felt the need in order to communicate that to the public in light of what had gone on with regards to the school naming and all of its surrounding controversy. So yeah, the overall synopsis is that they believe, this legal firm does believe, that she did contravene the code of conduct for various reasons. But in there, we start to see how everything unfolded as we were participating in the podcast, and how, Kinsey Kendrick, who we had on, and her involvement with regards to how things went at the naming committee, and the references that were made to how the trustee Burgess was said to have felt that she was being exclusionary, or the idea was that
some of the students were being excluded.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And my daughter did actually write an open letter to the trustees saying that this scenario happened before Nancy even
Well, that's
came
not
on
in
our
the
podcast.
report.
No, it's not. But hey, I'm not saying like this is, I mean, I can give you the basic gist of how that conversation went down, but I'd be paraphrasing.
Here, I have the one question I have isn't it the elected officials' duty to represent their constituents and not be first and foremost required to protect the board? Like, shouldn't the code of conduct be representation and not board protection?
So I actually, that's kind of where I'm at in the report. If you remember that Nancy, through the conversation, said that, I've been elected, I have a responsibility to speak out. With that being said, and in the report, quote unquote, I'm obligated in my role of trustee to explain the decisions of the board to the public. I don't have to agree with it, but I must be able to explain it, but I can't explain it. I have no idea. And so I'm asking the community, I'm asking you, how did this happen? And the rule in their code of conduct says that a trustee may respectfully state their position on a resolution, provided it does not in any way undermine the implementation of the resolution. So by stating that she does not understand why it was in contravention of their code of conduct,
like that,
there's absolutely no way to get around it.
That, you know what? I think one of the best things for the board is the fact that several of them have said that, and correct me if I'm wrong, several of them have already said they're not running again, right?
Yeah.
Well, one has already resigned.
Right.
And I'm not saying, and let me state clearly, I am not suggesting this individual resigned as anything to do with this.
Oh, 100%.
All I'm saying is that since between now and all this controversy, one trustee did step down, and I don't know, none of our business as to why.
For their reasons.
But yes, along the lines of what you asked. So I do believe that Nancy said to us on the episode that she will not run again. She has no interest in doing it.
Yeah.
I can't speak for anyone else. I don't know if anyone else has said it publicly, but
I would hazard a guess that while this report may find that there were contraventions of the code of conduct, I think all it does is highlight the fact that their code of conduct is backwards. And any code of conduct that's written that your core value and need is to protect the board instead of representing your constituents is wrong.
I mean, have we ever seen members of council, county, Kingsville, city come out publicly and disagree with the decision or ask why this decision happened? Have we ever seen that?
Lots of times.
And has it ever fallen on repercussions?
I
Unless it's slanderous or libelous or whatever. However,
but sometimes, should it? No. And does it usually? No.
So in the evidence in this document, there's all the communication that happens behind the scenes as presented to defend each individual's position. So we have Anthony Liardi's letter that he sent to the school board questioning why things were done. Former Mayor Nelson Santos also provided some insight and some exchange via email.
Yes, he is referenced several times. And good on him.
So and then there's some retort basically around some of the information between trustees, how there's a chain of command or chain of conversation that is shown within the time frame and the circumstances. So relatively detailed to the point where it's cast a certain light on the situation that has been doubled down, tripled down, reiterated that all the actions as to what led to all this controversy were right, just. This is within the rules of the naming procedure, and there is no wrong. So we'll see what the committee decides, because the trustees will have to decide what they want to do with both Trustee Cook and Trustee Armstrong as a result of this report and the breaches, because the law firm does not provide direction as to what to do. It provides the information and the conclusion of their findings as they investigated each incident of.
It'll be interesting to dig into the law firm a little bit and see what other, if they've been retained by other boards for other similar reports. I'd be interested to see, like, is this a law firm that does this regularly? Is this a one-off for this firm? Is this what they do? So yeah, it'd be interesting to kind of dig into what their role is and how they go about.
I was not contacted. They were not contacted. They did not do their job. They didn't contact me.
So you joke.
I know.
But
I know.
She was on our podcast.
Correct.
And the law firm never reached out to ask us about it.
Yeah, or, hey, Gary, do you got any B-roll or anything like that, or any other additional information that may be relevant to this?
Conversations that we had off air?
It's crazy. What you see on YouTube's what you get. Really, all it is us messing up and making jokes at each other's expenses.
It's basically just verbatim.
For the most part, yeah. For the most part, yeah. Her whole interview, there was no edits in that, if I remember correctly. I don't know. I don't think there was, but
What's the matter if there was? Law firm never asked.
Correct. They just watched the YouTube. So thanks for the extra clicks,
yeah,
and the subscription, because we're breaching 325 subscribers on the YouTube.
Hey, maybe if we make more people angry, we'll get more lawyers watching.
I don't want to make more people angry in one sense. Just the right people.
Oh, you know what? Yeah. It's the angry ones that drive views, right? If you're not being controversial, nobody cares.
Well, on my drive here, I did bump into a couple of people I hadn't seen for a while, stop for a chat, and said, where are you going? I'm going to do a podcast. Probably going to go make some people angry.
Shake your fist.
Hope not. Well, I don't like making people angry. I like making people informed.
And I like making people think.
Right. And that was the whole objective of the podcast when the four of us got together, and Gary really was the one that decided that this was a necessity in the town, and he knew you from the paper. He'd heard of who I was through a reference, and he knew who Kevin was.
It was you guys that brought me in. It was.
I'll be honest. I heard you guys were recording. I just showed up.
Yeah.
No,
someone's
but here's the thing: is that
I'm there.
We do take some grief. Obviously, and more so on social media, but it's easy to do. And this is why a lot of people say they will never run for political office, whether it's council or MPP or MP, right? Because the grief that comes with it.
Yeah, I don't think we have any idea what that grief is like, though.
I'm not suggesting that. But what I'm saying is we do take some grief for doing this, but we're not doing this to make people mad. We're not doing this to insult people. We're not doing this to upset people. Essentially, all we're trying to do is generate thought, and people have said they're going to miss the paper, and 5 years has gone by. I don't know how many people still actually miss the paper. Thank you, but
Someone today actually asked me what the digital version of Leah's column is now. And I said, no, it doesn't exist. It's done.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm not joking.
No.
It actually came up today.
Okay. Well, and that's interesting. That's a whole other discussion. But is generate thought process and discuss things and make people say, okay, well, why is this happening? Because, and I know there was at least one, I don't know if any of the others are still going, but online publication to as a news source and kind of what's going on in town, which is great. But a lot of it is just, it's word of mouth. It's, oh, did you see this or did you hear this? And then it passes by. And yeah, like we do offer opinions, but a lot of the stuff that comes from council or school board, it comes from the reports. It comes from the decisions that are made at those tables. So all we're doing is offering an opinion, and sometimes we don't all agree. You know, I've had people say to me, like, I like the fact that you kind of present an opposition to maybe what you say, and vice versa. Mm-hmm. And that's how it should be. We're not showing up to be three guys who say, yes, yes, yes. Because then where's the excitement in that? So to anyone we've offended, you know, I'm sorry, but we're not doing it to offend. We're doing it to generate discussion and interest and essentially promote the town. Like we've said numerous times, if you've got an event or you want something promoted, drop a Facebook post, or I don't even know how Facebook works, but
you do that.
Okay, cool. Or on Instagram and say, hey, we've got this coming up. Can you give it a plug? Mm-hmm. And if we remember and we see it, we'll just say, hey, 30 seconds. Yeah, this is happening. Yeah. This is what it is. And we'll move on.
And the fact that we have opinions about things in town and are willing to discuss them also opens us up for that scrutiny if you don't agree. Where I don't accept it is the barbs on social media or the attacks that, you know, you're wrong. No, we're not wrong. It's our opinion, and we're trying to present it in somewhat of a neutral fashion, because if we come out whole hog biased against something, then that might not be the factual part of the story. It's our opinion.
Or sometimes we're wrong.
We are completely wrong. And we understand that because we're just three guys.
Again, if we're wrong, please let us know.
Yeah.
We'll acknowledge it right away in social media. And the next episode, turn around and say, hey, listen, we need to apologize. We got this wrong. And we've said this from the start.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway.
Just always have a picture with your pressers.
I'll stop with my rant.
Well,
my next rant.
Yeah, go into that one.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So last year, I took part in the first Kyle Butt Memorial Golf Classic. So it is a little bit personal for me. So Wendy Butt is Kyle's mom. She's my letter carrier. I've worked with her. Fantastic lady, a lot of fun. So last year they held a golf tournament in his memory to support his two daughters. So the second annual one is taking place on September the 13th at Rochester Place, Golf Club and Resort. Basically, it's a shotgun start, 8 a.m. Anyone interested in either playing or sponsoring can email kbgolftournament@gmail.com. Or if you want to just find out information, kbgolftournament@gmail.com. Just to support a cause. If you just like golfing and have $150 that you want to give to a good cause, then, you know, throw together a foursome and join in the fun. So just appreciate you guys giving me a minute on that. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you.
Detroit. So, thank you, Detroit.
That is classic, Jordan Mike.
21st is also the first block party in Chatham for the town of Kingsville. There's not much happening because we don't have a Highland Games this year. There's no music festival.
No.
We got Migration Festival still on the books somewhere, you know, in the fall, but through the summertime, this is
hopefully the hogs are coming through.
I believe they are. I believe they are as of now. I believe that they talked about that in budget funding, I believe.
Believe so.
It's been a while. It's been 6 months-ish since we talked budget. So we're halfway through season 5, gentlemen. Viewers, thank you.
Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there.
Happy Father's Day, yeah. And so we're going to plan summer programming, a couple of episodes with an agenda, and we want participation. So if you made it to the end of the episode,
Wow.
yeah.
You've got nothing to do.
Well, no, but maybe both of them can spread the word.
Both of them, yes.
Yeah.
And to go back to what we were just talking about, that's how people have started to really catch on to what we're doing, is word of mouth. And on several occasions, I've had people go, hey, thanks for doing the podcast. Without that, I wouldn't know what's happening in town. And thank you for you listening and participating and spreading the word, because this is what we like to do. And it's fun from time to time. But subscribe, tell everybody. Thanks. Happy Father's Day. We'll catch you next time on That Kingsville Podcast.